Every weekend, you can guarantee that somewhere in Britain, owners of classic cars will gather together, set up the plastic chain-link fences and show off the things that they love the most. And like fishermen talking about the one that got away, every owner has a tale to tell about the wrecks they brought back to life.
The car was bought a little while ago as a total basket case.
It was a very tatty car when I bought it.
Literally in boxes.
And then I got the car back and stripped all the paint off it by hand and resprayed it.
And it was a pretty awful mess.
And I know virtually every nut and bolt on it. And to me, it's an irreplaceable car now.
From start to finish, 3,000 hours.
I think it's fair to say that nobody loves classic cars as much as the British enthusiasts. For them, these cars aren't just metal, they are our motoring heritage, and as such should be treated like Chelsea pensioners, smartly turned out, well cared for and worth doffing your cap to. But some people don't see it like that. They think that when these cars reach the end of the road, they should go out with all guns blazing. If you're a regular at Goodwood and drive something decked out in chrome and walnut, then you might like to cover your eyes up for this bit. Officially, it's called a contact sport contested by pre-68 cars, and in plain English, that's classic banger racing. This growing form of motorsport involves old cars fighting to the finish, like geriatric gladiators.
Well, actually, I was the one that first organised the meeting to start with back 4 years ago. The reason being that the cars were so slow compared with the Granadas that were racing. People were spending a lot of time bringing the old cars to the track and getting obliterated virtually straight away.
Stroll through the pits at tonight's race in Birmingham and you'll find this Ford Zodiac limousine, a handful of Austin Farinas, some Mark II Jags, and the Banger Bashers' favourite, the Rover P5, all getting ready for one last rumble.
There's no arguing this is mega sport. You're racing pre-68 rear-wheel drive cars like a pre-68 getaway driver. But we're not... But, as you can imagine, not everybody is happy to see cars like this dueling to the death.
Classic car experts argue that since there are only a few thousand Mark II Jags and Rover P5s left, these cars should now be treated as endangered species, and that this kind of panel beating doesn't help one bit. And sadly, even some really rare stuff is ending up on the track.
There was a Van Plough which belonged to Winston Churchill, which I think was pitiful.
You are joking.
No, it certainly did. We were absolutely shocked that somebody should bang race that. It's just wanton destruction. We've had recently a 51 Chevy. I mean, a couple of cars here tonight are very rare. The Ford Zodiac limousines. I mean, there must be 20 of those remaining.
19.
19, right. We're not against the sport generally. It is enjoyable, but I think there are cars that really ought not to be scrapped. I mean, you would not, for example, you wouldn't knock down a thatched cottage for fun, would you, if you bought it? And this is basically what this is.
Do you feel like you created a Frankenstein's monster there? Or?
Well, I think people now are going out to buy the cars for the meetings, whereas before people had the cars and were of course going to race them at this particular meeting. So in some respects there may have been cars, and I have been to meetings where you look at cars that have raced and perhaps they shouldn't have done.
The strange thing is, most people who get involved in this sport do have a fondness for classics. So there must be some good reason for bangering an old car instead of a not-so-old one.
The classics, most of them are much easier to work with, more fun to work with, more fun to drive. Take a lot more punishment as well on the track. Take a lot more stick than most of the modern cars that can fold up.
It's just getting them to go, really. We've seen a lot of them like miss and pop and go. There's a lot of work you've got to do to them to get them to go. And if you have a good day in it, you feel you've done well. Like.
What do you do during the week? What's your day job?
Restore classic cars.
So when you're in the car going around the track, you don't think, oh, I could knock this one back into shape or anything?
No.
No emotion about it?
No, I'm doing my level best to knock it out of shape.
By the end of the night, the classic car world was down by another 20-odd motors. The racers have a fair point, arguing that these cars are so knackered to start with, it would cost just too much to restore them. So why not send them out in a blaze of glory? But still, there is something sad about seeing the car your dad drove being pushed into the ring like some old prize fighter who should have thrown in the towel years ago. These classic car people, they may have a point, but look on the good side. Just think, in 20 years, they'll be down there smashing up Volvo 440s, Nissan Almeras, Nissan Sunnies, Daewoo, Hyundai Sonatas, Peugeot 309s, all the beige ones.
Next week, the Ford Explorer. At last, the world's best-selling 4x4 finally comes to Britain. Head-to-head rally competition in the Race of Champions. And why scooters have become dead trendy again.
There are top tips about buying a stolen recovered car in the February issue of the BBC Top Gear magazine. Available now.